How's it? I got an ad on mine, so. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? Audio troubles? Not coming through? Audio troubles? Not coming through? I think you guys are incredibly low. Okay. So we're gonna replace the Discord call one with that. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. Oh shit.
Sweaty testes. Give me the audio, please. Marie-Joie, Emo, bless me with the audio notes. Give me audio, please. Marie-Joie, Emo, bless me with the audio. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
But like, so basically, what visual? What's your visual that you're streaming right now? Is it a screen capture?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so window capture, right click on that, open that up, and have a look at it and see if you can capture audio like with it. There should be a tick box, I think, bottom left, something like that.
I was
We
able to
just
hear
need
Dan
the
in that time.
yeah. I can hear us.
So,
We just need the background music volume down. Probably through OBS down a little bit more, so that way it's balancing out with us.
right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. When we get the levels sorted, let me know. I'll pull us in and we can start discussing the chapter's spice.
I can hear us. We just need the background music volume down. Probably through OBS down a little bit more, so that way
It's going to be an
it's
interesting one.
balancing
There's
out with
lots
us.
to go through. Plus some predictions though. When we get the levels sorted, let me know. I'll pull us in and we can start discussing the chapter's spice.
Alright. I was about to say, I hear an echo.
Okay, right.
Echo from next side. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. I think that'll level out. Welcome everybody. It's TLA or the last arc, as you can probably see on the screen. Apologies for a couple of audio issues. It is what it is, and yeah, Emu's on our case basically. My name's Kushi. I make theories on YouTube about One Piece, which will inevitably come true. Welcome everybody, and then I'll introduce you to the rest of the people, and after that we're going to go straight into it because we're starting a little bit late. So next we have the frontline combatant of the last arc, NoChillDill himself. Tell the people who you are and where you're at.
Yo, I am the frontline combatant of the last arc. I'm here to make sure all of our opinions do come true and that they're not opinions, that they're true and stated facts. You can find me here. You can find me on Saturday on Dire Regulus's channel, Resumed Action for Group 3. We had session 50 last week, a great commemoration for 50 episodes so far, and hopefully to many, many more. You can catch me next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST over on vexyz Lurking Legends channel for Group 2, Group 2 solos. Yeah, we just found a new crew member, potentially. She isn't a crew member yet, but we're finally hyped to have 6 months after the introduction of Julian Casa Casa to the crew improperly. We finally met her in session properly last night. It was amazing. You guys got to go check it out. It's over there on Vex's channel.
Yeah, there'll be links in the description and in the chat as we go for some of the other channels that do the One Piece D&D and stuff like that. You can also find all of that in the TLA Discord. Okay, we also have somebody who's one of the newest members of the TLA family. He's streaming for us tonight on short notice. Again, what a legend. And the technical difficulties, if anyone's got any issues, you can just blame him. So, Nak, tell the people who you are, where they can find you, what you're about. Okay, we also have somebody who's one of the newest members of the TLA family. He's streaming for us tonight on short notice. Again, what a legend. And the technical difficulties. Yeah, we'll drop some links as well. Now, the queen of most of the seas that we know of, 3-day trip. Would you like to tell the people who you are and where they can find your spicy theories?
I'm just me, 3-day from Discord and YouTube and Twitter and Reddit. And the links are in the description.
The queen of most of the seas. That's true. Yeah, if you're looking for some future sight, then 3 days, the person. We probably will be joined by some other people, some particularly TLA members. The captain will be joining us, Straw Hat Lucas, shortly. He's got a all that's just dropped on my channel on Kushi about an hour and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. To be honest, if you're looking with it, so I need to check. But, 3 days per person. So anyway, why are we here today? It's pretty simple. 11:19. Spoilers have come. All the short summaries come out. The long summary, it could come out at any moment now, in which case we'll change the title and we'll get into the long. We'll read them like on stream and we'll get into the details. Like I said previously, the idea here is to sort of cultivate a more healthy spoiler community, and this is only the second week we're doing the stream, so yeah, it's all good faith.
Nak, do you have the stream pulled up secondarily?
Like I said previously, the idea here is to sort of you have the pub to mute if you do one. it's covered through like a
Well, I
preset.
was just saying because if he has the stream pulled up secondarily, it's going through his external speakers, so we're able to hear an echo of the stream.
You have the pub to view if you do want. It's covered through like a
Well, I
preset.
was just saying because if he has the stream pulled up secondarily, it's going through his external speakers, so we're able to hear an echo of the stream. Well, I was just saying because if he has the stream pulled up secondarily, it's going through his external speakers, so we're able to hear an echo of.
Is it still looping? Audio still looping, everybody? My input device is turned off. Nope. I got it muted now. No, I did though.
Quiet on YouTube end.
Kube's here.
Do you guys want to try that now?
Yo, what a cube. Ooh.
It's on my phone, so as soon as audio comes through, I'll be able to hear it.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yo,
Yeah,
long
I hope you're
summers
alright.
are dropped. I put them in the VC chat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was
I
about to
think
hop
we're
on.
working.
Yeah. I saw it
Yeah,
at
I
the
think we're
moment as
working. I think we're working. Yeah. We're working. Okie dokie. If you could turn the master up a little bit, that would be ideal, Nat. But other than that, okay. So basically, a bit of a switch up. I did just mention that the long summary was due to drop at any moment, and the long summary has just dropped. Kube the Red Sea has joined us here. We'll do his introduction in a second. For now, though, we're going to get straight into the 1119 long sport. If there's any audio issues, I'm happy to read them out. If there's any audio issues, just let us know in the chat.
It's gonna be okay with your internet? Because, you know, just asking.
Yeah, I think my internet's fixed now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, no worries. Because, you know,
Last
last two streams you get getting cut off. Okay, no worries. Let's go.
Yeah. I did hear just a little bit of an echo then, but I'm not sure where that was from. Okie dokie. So, more details of the chapter by myself, read on the turd. Very short chapter, 13 pages. So it's another one which is short. We did have quite a big one a few weeks back, but yeah, we've got a lot of these small ones, and I'm expecting more. Chapter 11:19, MF. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 9. Kids who hate Kaido throw a rock at Yamato's head while he is traveling to Kube. Okay, interesting. We'll get into that in a sec. Kube's a cool location. Chapter starts inside Egghead Laboratory. Kaku has been released from the bubble by Stussy, but Kaku is angry with Stussy for the last words Edison told her. Kaku says, "Friends, ? Don't make me laugh." Kaku tells Stussy to go away before Lucci arrives where they are now, but we don't see Lucci in this chapter. However, we can see Kaku's face while he talks, and he is holding back tears. So again, we're seeing these emotional ties between Cypherpole, which have been sort of bubbling under the story for a decade or so now. Cut to Egghead Shore. Giants are cheering for Luffy and Bonnie. Mars talks with them. Giants, Nika, that's what they say with love heart. Mars, 2 Nikas, this is merely a fake transformation thanks to Toshi no Mi power. Don't get ahead of yourself. That is a bigger spicy line because it suggests that there is more that. A lot of people, when they saw the previous chapter, they were talking about other people being turned into Nika. I know the Yellow Prince had a problem with content creators talking about armies of Nikas being made, but this definitely suggests that there's a potent original.
This validates all those powers like Kata Devon's fruit as well. Kitsune follows the same laws as Mr. Truesdale fruit. Whatever you chase shift, you mimic can only be on the outside. You do not have the same thing as the inside. So most likely, Drums of Liberation is something you can't copy.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah,
because
this validates that
it
role.
depends. If you could change the heartbeat, that might actually be able to do it. Stuff like that. There might be nuances that we need to cover.
Oh yeah. Of course, yeah. Deep on it.
So Mars attacks Elbaf's ship with another fire blast from his mouth. Luffy transforms into gigantic balloon to block the fire. Luffy shouts in pain, but he manages to hold the fire back and protect the ship. Just a quick question: has anybody got any thoughts straight off the bat about Luffy turning into a balloon or a spoiler? And it does trigger anything for anyone? Because I know that was in the short spoilers.
I mean, this kind of makes you think of, we've been talking about parallels of Impel Down somebody Marineford, Sengoku versus Luffy. Tanks it as a balloon, but still is bleeding and in agony. Kind of gave me that vibe when you were saying
Yeah. Okay. So you think it's
I read a little bit ahead of you because y'all are going slow.
No, not yet.
Yeah, hold
on. Sorry, I'm just reposting this stream. Yeah, anybody in the stream, make sure you do stream and give it a little share if you can. Post it on your friend's Discord, tell your mum, and we'll get these numbers bumping. We'll get a bit of spicy chat going on in the chat. So anyway, back to but Luffy then stretches his arms and grabs both of Mars's wings. Then he talks with Sanji and the others. Luffy, these monsters can recover no matter what we do. So the only way we have to take care of them is to blow them away as far as possible. And Luffy asks Bonnie, Sanji, and Frankie to attack his balloon body with everything they have. Bonnie is shocked, but all of them follow Luffy's plan. Sanji, Ifrit Jinbei, Hell Memories, Frankie, strong impact right. Bonnie, Takadai, Nika no punch. Bonnie, Sanji, and Frankie combined attacks hit Luffy's back. Luffy shouts it hurts because they used haki. Then Luffy makes his body even bigger and pushes Mars towards his giant belly. Now, we'll get into this in a little bit, but...
Which one of them do we think used haki here?
Yeah, I think this is the most important line in this long summary, and we'll get into it in a minute, but the implications of this and some of the stuff we've theorized in the past are huge, particularly around devil fruits and what we're going to be seeing soon. So, Luffy, Gomu Gomu no Dawn Balloon. Luffy combines Bonnie, Sanji, and Frankie's attacks with his own strength and blows Mars away across the ocean. We see a flash in the sky when Mars disappears, like where Team Rocket is defeated in Pokemon anime. Now, bear in mind here that that's in the sky and Mars is like a bird. So this could be him being sent back to Skypiea or some crazy... There's going to be more to this. After pushing Mars away, Elbaf's ship is ready to set sail. Luffy asks where is Usopp and the others. Sanji says they're late. We don't see Nami's group, Zoro, Jinbei, or Nezuro in this chapter. Atlas tells Sanji and the others that they need to go and do something first. Then she tells Lilith in her head that York is able to track their movements now. Atlas is about to say what they must do, but the scene changes. Classic Oda cutaway. Cut to underwater. The giant robot gets up and the transmission Dendemushi inside wakes up too. Vegapunk's message resumes and we can hear some of his words, but there are little interruptions in the transmission. Vegapunk, a bit of white noise, then the thing that was inherited, a bit more white noise, can be called a will. I hope this message will reach those who are swayed by the cause. We can see more reactions around the world when people see Vegapunk appear again in the screen. Or all of their screens, I guess. In Whole Cake Island, we see Katakuri, Moscato, Brownie, and Zukoto wondering what he is talking about now. Vivi, and Morgans are in shock again, seeing the transmitters back. And finally, everybody, we can see Gaimon and Sarfunkel reacting to Vegapunk's message. But since they don't have any Dendemushi, they are not aware of the worldwide broadcast. Back to Egghead Island, York tells 5 elders that the transmission Dendemushi uses separate circuits for transition and memory storage. So the only way to permanently stop the broadcast is to destroy it completely. I'm guessing by that they mean both components. Jupiter splits out... Jupiter spits out the Cypherpole agents and Seraphim onto the marine battleships. Then Jupiter starts sucking back Elbaf's ship. So, assumably the Elbaf ship's trying to escape. Luffy jumps back to the shore and punches Jupiter's face to stop him. But while Luffy is punching Jupiter, Walkyrie runs past him and jumps to the Elbaf ship. Walkyrie is about to crash into it. Luffy, oh no! The boar is coming, be careful. That guy's head is super hard. Brogy, that guy looks like trouble. Let's move, he will break our ship into pieces. You can see that Bonnie turned back into a kid after extra large Nika punch attack. Sanji, Bonnie-chan. Bonnie, I can't do this anymore. Freedom is so exhausting. Luffy notices something coming underwater. It's the ancient giant robot that remembers Joy Boy's voice from the past, but we still can't see Joy Boy yet. Ancient giant robot, Joy Boy. That's what he says. Suddenly, in the epic final double page of the chapter, the ancient robot rises out from the sea and punches Walkyrie straight in the face, breaking one of his giant fangs. Then we see a quote from Joy Boy saying, "Listen, Emeth, when the time comes, you must." Emeth says, "The time?" ? Everyone is shocked. Dory and Broggy's eyes pop out of their sockets. Luffy's eyes become sparkling. Dory and Broggy, what the hell is this guy? Luffy, robot. Editor's message, romance, on the move once more. End of chapter, break next week. The next weekly Shonen Jump as well is issue 33, so expect it to be spicy. But, okay, so I'm guessing Emeth is the name of the giant robot's voice. Straight off the bat, is anyone like frothing to say something? Because that is a massive amount of spice right there.
So definitely
Shout, it hurts because they used hockey.
yeah, for me that's not the thing that catch my eye. Is the fact of, and for people who don't remember, the way they talk about Dory and Broggy, in Enies Lobby, The way that the Marines were talking about, you know, how they control the Kashi and the other one, oh boy, I forgot the name of the other giants. They made a big emphasis that during Bragi were them. The fact that they were that shocked about their own giant is, I think there's more to it. Like, we have to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Kaido. It's like Kaido or Whitebeard being impressed by the Iron Giant. For me, it's as the same level. What does it do that is so different?
Does anyone have 3-day? Have you got any thoughts on the name MF? Is that a like something biblical?
I have it
or-
actually. I did some research on it.
Okay.
It goes back to the biblical times in the Jewish mythology, which actually represent the term of truth. And there's actually an interesting story that connects back to golems. And remember, golem was introduced with the sword agent, Prince Drus Delfoot.
Yeah,
And in one part it says,
yeah.
so basically it was a golem that was called MF. And he grew and grew, and they realized that the potential of this creature, this golem. So the way to stop it is they changed, because he had his name on his body, they changed his name from MF to Meth, which also means death. The rabbi brings the golem's forehead within reach of his hand by commanding the golem to remove his boot.
Yes.
He wipes the letter off of his forehead, but this caused the golem to collapse upon the rabbi, which I found very interesting. Which a lot of people know, golems are literally introduced in every Genesis of story. Any story that talks about the Genesis, golems always referred as well.
True. Like I really.
That them?
Right, let's get to sort of ending the chapter, all the spoilers, let's say. It starts pretty much with Cypherpole. Just to get that stuff out of the way, has anybody got any like thoughts or feelings about this? Because it's a long time coming. I think a lot of people in the TLA community, for example, are very aware or like kind of not expecting, but just aren't surprised that Cypherpole are kind of starting to dissolve and might start turning onto a different allegiance.
But actually, I might have something, and it's and actually a theory that we dropped over a year ago, and now I'm questioning. And the other day with Nak and Will on the VC, while we were talking, we helped each other come to this conclusion. You know how there is this vampire film of Stussy, right? And she both bit them in their neck. It hasn't been clear with Kaku, but now in the anime this week, Rob Lucci's answering even more stuff on both sides, and Kaku keeps getting upset. And there is this narrative where in the Viva card for Rob Lucci, when he was described by Oda's team, they called him the brainwashed Rob Lucci. He joined the Marines as a young kid, brainwashed Rob Lucci. You have the same thing of Guernica. So I'm wondering if Stussy, and it's very interesting, it's similar to Cavendish and Hakuba. What if when they're younger, they're putting some sort of like, process? And what if Stussy put that part of themselves?
This definitely is all reminiscent of Sheep's House, right? Like or Lamb's House. Like Cypherpole have ties to Lamb's House, and the idea that like these kids are like converted and they've got influence. And then we see Big Mum, who's got this weird situation where Carmel influences her and destroys him.
And just to finish the point, you'll like that point. What if it goes same thing as Kevin Hakuba? The way they're subdued creates like a part of themselves that has to comply. I'm wondering if because of Stussy's what power it is, which seems to be either a succubus or a vampire, it put that part of themselves dormant, meaning that they actually have their free will, and they don't even realize it because they never had free will.
Yeah, I think I've never heard it before, and I think that's a sick idea. The fact that like Stussy or Bakin maybe or somebody might have influence over, or just a poison might have some sort of influence on their character. I think that's real.
For me, it's basically if Stussy would have done that on Cavendish, then Cavendish would be sleeping, Hakuba would be awake. If she did it on Hakuba, I think Hakuba would fall asleep, but Cavendish would be awake. I think that's what the situation is. So that's why Kaku seems to be crying, because you're not dealing with Kaku, the assassin. You're actually dealing with the real Kaku, the one who has emotions, the one who can show his emotions. Rob Lucci might be a curious person, but he was subdued for so long to not question anything. Now what does Rob Lucci does? He asks questions. Part of themselves being released. No pun intended. There was no pun, but I wanted to say it. Sorry, that was the thought. That was the thought.
No. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. Sorry, I was just reposting. Yeah, it's pretty mad, it's pretty spicy. So moving on. Oh wait, I've just dropped it. 1 sec. Let me pull them straight back up.
Yeah, no worries.
Um,
There is something,
it
however, that I'm.
is. Go on.
For me, the real thing that bothers me is, I know it's a bit, what's called? It's a cover story.
Okay.
I find it interesting that now he's I don't know. What's your thought on the cover story, especially now that they're bringing back Kaido in some way, in some show for in the cover story, like Yamato, inherited her father's bad history with Wano.
I think
You're wondering if
it's
Oda's.
important.
You got what Lou
like
said, by the
I
way.
think.
We heard Yamato inheriting her father's.
Oh, okay. I said, what if Oda is now preparing the plot device for having Yamato to leave the island? Because the negative part that we're hearing now.
Oh, right. Pause. Right. We got the sick Ragnarok in the trap, right? And I just need to get this out straight away. He said the Hatem Arishwa belongs to MF.
Oh, that would make sense.
I mean,
The only thing that right. So there's two things here. Firstly, it can't be on the giant because the giant's got horns, right? So and there's no horn holes or anything in the straw hat. But the idea is that Frankie changed in the. Frankie changed from a human to cyborg, right? So I could completely get down with the idea that MF was a giant or a buccaneer, particularly with the island and the arc we've seen him in, and then he's turned into a robot over time or been transformed. But I just had to get that out because that is mad spicy. Bill, talk to us about this haki then.
Yeah, so honestly, I think that since we haven't gotten any in characters other than Luffy expressing, hey, Sanji's attacking with Haki or Frankie's attacking with Haki, to me it just makes the most sense for this to have been Bonnie as opposed to Frankie or something.
It's also the fact that you ready? Every time Luffy has used his post time skip, has used great strain of hockey with his styles. What happens? He gets greatly reduced out of energy. And Bonnie just said, being freedom is very exhausting. Similar to how Luffy in Dressrosa using his hockey was a gear
in the
4
middle
was
of the
exhausting.
fight against Kaido, he was saying about how there was conquerors and armament just flowing off of him, like hockey was just emitting from his body in gear 5th form.
Yeah, something that is also interesting is the idea that haki negates devil fruits, and we are seeing, like, it seems that Oda's explicitly saying that, like, well, she's in this devil fruit form, she's using haki, in my opinion. And if that's the case, then that is massively spicy because it's this, like, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of indigo children and stuff, but like it's like this new race of people like Luffy, people like Bonnie, who don't need devil fruits to be super powerful. They have like inherent abilities to do it anyway, kind of like how Blackbeard ate 2 devil fruits. Some people are just built different. Like, yeah, we back Straw Hat Kufi.
However, I would say by looking now at the attacks, I would say it's actually, I think it's a mixture of Sanji and Bonnie, because they do use Zay. Frankie, we still have to see if he actually has true hockey feats, especially with Ifrit Jamba and Hell's Memory. Like retaking that old, and that Hell's Memory has like big influence. So if you think of Hell's Memory, devastates not what Bonnie did, but if you think of it, they channel like deep their own memories to fuel it. The Nika thing for Bonnie and Sanji for Hell's Memory, and use like Ifrit, his newest strong attack. So I would say that maybe both of them use hockey. Maybe not the same level.
I think it's a really, really interesting point. Frankie uses strong right, which is a physical attack, and it's a punch. And Sanji uses a kick, which is a physical attack. Whereas Bonnie seemed to have used a mixture of all sorts. Because if she punched if she punched him as a kid, it wouldn't really do much. Not because she's a kid, but she just wasn't. I mean, maybe I don't know.
But
Maybe,
also remember Fishman Island, the way he described Hell's memory, he is reliving the trauma of those 2 years. So I do believe that there was a bit of hockey that came out with it. But I would agree with what Dill said when he said Bonnie. I think Bonnie is, because of the Nika thing, might have been dealing the most hockey. Maybe Sanji was using a bit of hockey, not as much as Bonnie was.
See, and if he had one out of the 3 used hockey against him, he would still say it hurt because they used hockey. He isn't able to tell who hit him with hockey. He just knows, hey, I got hit by hockey. Hey, that fucking hurt. Why'd you do that? You know?
And also, we haven't seen any hockey feed from Frankie, so I don't think Oda would just reveal Frankie's first hockey feed like that. We'll make sure.
Yeah, there's someone else. There's someone else that we're going to talk about though, if that's cool. And this is definitely someone that's more abstract to the more general community. But you guys have heard us talking about it for a long time. So we've been saying a while about combining devil fruits, and you know what that can kind of achieve. Particularly fruit stuff like that. And particularly, I cut off, did I?
You're back now.
A bit. You're back now, but a bit.
Okay, cool. So I was saying, like, we were talking about the combination of devil fruits, and the combination of a lot of things, but particularly devil fruit, and we see Blackbeard with 2, maybe 3, seems kind of relevant to me. And then, so it makes me think about this attack that we're seeing. 3 plays attacking Luffy, like the sun, and it bouncing off and attacking somebody else. Like, this is spicy, man. Like, we could see some crazy stuff coming in the future with Gomu mixing with the Yami or something like that.
Well, think about this, right? You see One Piece Red, right? What if I told you that Oda foreshadowed how those combination will happen? The last attack that both Shanks and Luffy did. Their hockey wave of one did a slash, one did a punch. One had the shape of a lion. One had the shape of a bird. And when it merged together, it became a dragon. Remember that dragon that appeared in front of Tot Musica?
Yeah, like
exactly what happened.
Of a griffin, right? What Shanks is, like, you know, a griffin is a hybrid chimera.
Yeah.
3 animals.
Uh-huh.
And then you think about like Oda's message about the 2 wings of the captain. You know, that's a 3. That's 3 there. We 3 day in her video on the Dodo channel about planets. Like, we talk about a grand trine. You know, 3 astrological or like significant points on the geography and the things that can happen in between that. And it definitely seems to be putting this motif of like not just the like. There's obviously this wedding vibe and a relationship vibe, but there's also this triple vibe, which we see Luffy, Sabo, and Ace. We see Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and so on.
So yeah, and so I'm gonna go over the thing I was talking about while we were reading, and then going back. I think until proves otherwise, I do agree on your takes on the how someone can recreate the Rose of Liberation. Yes, I do agree on that. But I'm wondering now, all the fruits like Mr. Truth's fruit, following that rule, the Kitsune fruit, kind of Devon's fruit, and Bonnie's fruit, even though they can recopy, I think it's gonna be still like how Bonke has said it. I can only basically be a surface level cloning, meaning that I can only look like them, but anything that's inside them, their wills, everything, he can recreate. That's why he can fight with Nami's body. It was so fragile compared to his body. So I'm wondering if back then there were some of the people who thwarted Joy Boy, is because, you ready? With certain powers, they acted like Joy Boy, fake Joy Boys, to discredit him. Sorry to make me think that this is what happened in the past. Like there was a fake Cobra in Alabasta. Like there was a fake Odin's father. I keep forgetting his name. In Wano. Both of them were Mr. Truth's fruit.
In these spoilers, Joy Boy literally says, "When the time comes." And to me, everything we've been saying about these, like, Emmeth wakes up and the first thing he says is sorry. Tanisha's being punished for a crime. It would appear to me that, like, he's saying, like, that there is some sort of imitation situation, and the significance with Blackbeard is that he has Katrina Devon. If she wakes up, with an ability that he took, right, he chose.
Yeah.
If she has the ability to awaken that, then I reckon she will be able to copy the heartbeat and she'll be the only person in the world who can imitate
But that's the thing.
Gomu externally. However, I think the reason why Oda dropped that line with Nozdro, with whoever it was because
Mars.
Nika or Luffy, Mars, Luffy will actually will actually prove it wrong, and he will be able to imagine other people having the drums of liberation, which then literally creates other Nikas, you know. So rather
My
than
thing
making
is,
one sun, it's
we're
like
going back what I was
lots.
saying before. My thing is that we need to get Catalvan to explain her fruit, because if it's an illusion, just like Mr. True does, I don't think she would be able to create the drums of liberation. She can make an illusion of drums of liberation. We can hear the sound, but it won't have the same impact. It's a fake sound. Like what drums of liberation is supposed to do, she won't be able to do it. But she can make the illusion that she's launching drums of liberation. You know, making people scared, act out of out of fear because they hear it. Because when you go back to in Alabasta, read Mr. Two what he says about his fruit. If you'd have to make of any fruit that can create like a counterfeit, you can look like someone, an illusion. It's very I don't see someone, but I do believe that there are ways to recreate his own drums of liberation. So it is also possible.
Yeah.
I still believe Brooke. I still believe Brooke. I still believe Brooke will be the one to recreate the drums of liberation because of his musical talent.
Yeah. JJ John Sharon on all social media platforms. Resident top man, basically. Anyway, moving swiftly on before we get into top man competition. Yeah, I think it's spicy. I think what you're saying is completely like fair, and I think is where people, theorists anyway, and like people like that should be looking, is this idea that Straw Hat Luke's has been saying for a long time about a giant Luffy playing the drums on Drum Island as the drums of liberation, and it could be stuff like that affects other people. For example, we see with Brook how he can affect Soul with music, and we see the importance of Soul with Big Mom. So I completely am sold that this is, just from these spoilers alone, that this is the direction that we're going to be going in the story. And obviously we've had discussions about Blackbeard, this weird thing where Blackbeard's crew went to Egghead and they touched Sally, which in my opinion, like I say, they were there for Luffy, and they didn't. They took the Gorosei thinking it was stronger, but they were mistaken because they can't copy that. They can't get the drums of liberation from a Gorosei member. Because you get it from the Gomu or Luffy.
So I just had a crazy thought, and so bear with me, right? I'm thinking a parallel, right? And I was talking about the fake Luffy's, fake Straw Hats, right? Which most likely is a foreshadowing that when we get the voice entry, I think people acted like Nika to discredit him. It would not be a big shock. What's interesting is that the person who was misled by the fake Straw Hat was Chopper. And the two people that he actually met before realizing it was fake were actually Usopp and Nami. And I'm really wondering if, because interesting enough, in the Straw Hat, the doctor and scientist is Chopper, right? Well, among the Gorosei, the doctor scientist is Saturn. I'm wondering if long time ago, that's how the Gorosei lost hope in Nika. They don't realize it themselves. The Nika they dealt with most likely might have been Blackbeard, whoever on the Blackbeard or the voice entry, the guy usurping Nika's what Nika is to this world.
So you're suggesting that maybe, let me just clarify that people hear a myth of Nika and then they discover Nika, but it's not actually the real one. They think it is, and because of it, they're
like there was an event that happened with Nika that disappointed the Gorosei. I'm not saying that the Gorosei are going to be good people at the end of the day. Still, they're horrible people, but they could have been, because the way Saturn says Nika, it felt personal. And I'm wondering if before all of that happened, Saturn was not this horrible person, but what made him that is, think of the Straw Hats. If they believe Luffy becomes this horrible person, how it would destroy them. Think of how Robin would go, how Sancho would go, Zoro would go. They would go crazy.
There's two things here I'd say. Like, firstly, like when you think about like the Christian idea of rapture and stuff like that, like people being left behind, I could definitely see. We've spoke before in depth at this point now about each Gorosei being a scorned member. Jupiter, I believe, to be Lily's younger brother, and it is embittered. If he isn't a traitor to the Gorosei, then he's embittered that the people didn't love him like they loved Lily, which is what we were shown in the throne room, like chapter and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely possible, and I also think it does seem, you mentioned, you kind of touched on there being a relationship with Joy Boy. Like, I think that could be the case. It could be like Lily was chosen because Joy Boy and Lily were in love, or the two sovereigns, or something, and they like, you know, it wasn't just a matter of killing Joy Boy. It was a matter of like really scrubbing his history and portraying him badly. So having Zunisha betray him, having Emeth betray him, which is how we get the opening line, "I'm sorry." Having Lily kidnapped, you know, all these people close to Joy Boy basically paying the price.
I would say now it's a bit more clear for me that with what we get with Emeth, I think Zunisha and Emeth might be the ones who did not betray Joy Boy. I think they're the ones who basically stood by his side at the end. The way that the stars keeps coming back to them, there's no ill will. They're actually quite fond of seeing, of be able to see him again. While Saturn, it was the opposite. It seemed like sorrow, but he wasn't happy because the next thing he did with the Gorosei is they've been trying to kill Luffy instantly. You know?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
That's why, and especially with the time it comes, the only time Luffy has done that, where he has told an order and people had to follow it in that way for protection, it seems to be that nature was Big Mom and Garp, when he knew the risk and didn't want him to be harmed. So I think more is that he made them a promise that they were planned to break, not because they're bad people, but because they love him so much that they're going to break protocol.
I think
he found out.
Like you've been going down this for a couple of weeks now, or a few weeks now, and I think this could definitely be the way Oda takes it for sure. That, you know, particularly with the quotes we've just seen in this long summary, it seems like Joy Boy may have even orchestrated his own demise. It's very kind of Jesus-like, very like prophets that we've seen in other myths and monomyths. So yeah, and that could be the turning of all of his disciples. And it was 3-Day who mentioned to me a long time ago that like maybe Jupiter, a character, is a Judas, but it's all the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be interested to see what Zagresh says about that. Like the idea that the 12 disciples all betrayed Jesus except for one, or Joy Boy in this case.
Yeah.
You know,
I definitely, I like where you're going with it became almost like a sacrifice mission because he knew that he wouldn't be forgotten. So he knew that his will would never truly be extinguished and that someone would be born in that place again.
Cement the inherited will for eight centuries at least, sort of thing.
Having Zunisha walk around knowing about Joy Boy, always out of reach of the world government, never being found for whatever reason, is walking around knowing that they're listening for the drums of liberation because that means Joy Boy is back.
Yeah, and Zunisha literally
like the source of.
Yeah, like think of it,
Zunisha cut out.
Yeah, no, I stopped because I thought Denner was going to talk, but didn't get cut out. So I was going to say, and if you look back at Wano, Zunisha's personality only came out the moment the drums of liberation happened, because Zunisha was almost no energy, like automatic. But the moment he heard the drums, he says, "Oh my God, those sounds!" And his eyes putting light, same thing as the Iron Giant. Yeah. Definitely, they're connected to Nika to that extent, and they might be among the people that are keeping Nika in this world. The last people who believe in Nika.
It's very like, it's very possible that. Sorry, Kube.
I was gonna say maybe they're like, it's like the last Amber. Best analogy is in My Hero Academia when All Might loses ability. They describe it as he's losing his Ember until it just fizzles away and there's no more flame anymore. I think that's what it is. The Nika flames are just an Ember right now.
I want to touch on that like directly in a second. Just give me one sec. I was going to say also that like the same way that we kind of like speculate that the Straw Hats currently all connect to members of Luffy's crew individually through threads over 800 years that they've inherited through the inherent will and stuff. It could be the same Joy Boy's crew, and thus the Straw Hats could go all the way to Nika, and Nika's original like harem, let's say. But the second thing I want to say was like I wanted to touch directly on what you're saying. I think at this point, so I've mentioned it a few times now. Coffee wants to make a theory about Dark Souls. I think it can't be denied. Like it cannot be understated how the end, like the Dark Souls, like the idea of the lore behind the game Dark Souls and that series is so close to One Piece with this idea that there's embers, there's these state of flames. Like you say, there's like a fire, like we see with the Mother Flame, but then you have embers. Then when that goes out, you have cinder, and then you have ash, and then the rebirth of that, like with the phoenix and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think embers are a good analogy. That they fit real well with One Piece.
Yeah, I'm looking now because I'm rereading. Wait. There was something that caught my eye I was about to talk about, but yeah, this is a crazy idea I had, right? And especially since, you know, for those who have heard me, I've always said, what if Oda, the way he's writing Usopp, is basically the closest character. He's not supposed to represent him, but in symbolism, that's how Nika was. A person who cared that the people around him would be happy, and he was very depressed about himself. And it follows a quote that was said in the ASL flashback with Blue Gem talking to Dandan and Ace and Luffy, and he literally describes Roger and Laugh-Tale. He says humans are, thanks to Will of Fire for dropping that gem to me, sending me that panel. He says humans are quite interesting people. They could be at their lowest point in their life, and all they'll do is stand there and laugh, which thinks of Roger and Laugh-Tale, like the lowest point in his life. And the fact that Bonnie says it's so exhausting freedom, I'm wondering if the only reason why Nika could do all that is whatever Nika went through, it's like Robin's flashback, Brooks, it's all of the saddest flashback, Kuma's flashback, but times 1,000. He's such a depressed person that all he cares is just laughing, not thinking about it. Like you need deep sorrow to use Nika's ability, you know? Nika is like, you know, like maybe she did not. So we think she doesn't have enough joy. What if she doesn't have enough sadness to cover to joy, you know?
Ooh.
Sometimes
Yeah,
the happiest people are oftentimes the saddest.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, and like, I'm not sure if you've ever had a love-hate pretzel, but like, you know, the more you love someone, the more passionate like the beef can be between you, like the more hateful it can get. So, but I've never really thought about that with One Piece. That's very interesting, and we probably see that with the Kainu, right? This idea that there's faith, but then there's this like very closely associated other thing, which is no faith at all and being an absolute dick. And when like Kainu sees Luffy in Gear 5, he's probably going to get a shock. Like he's probably going to be like, "Whoa, you know, I'm really closed-minded. Like I need to sort this shit out."
And fun fact is especially in the anime, the manga it's not obvious, but in the anime, if you look at Wano, he gets stronger the more he thinks of all he went through, those flashbacks throughout the fight. And then you think of Whitebeard. When did Whitebeard was the strongest? When he was feeling the lowest, just after his son was killed in front of his eyes. So I do think that it might be for some people, sadness is a fuel for them. You know how people, they need to be like put down by other people to have that fuel to want to prove them wrong? It could be something very similar to that with Joy Boy's abilities.
What do you think Vegapunk was going to say, though? He's cutting in and out, so what is that thing that can be inherited? That can be called will?
I think it's dreams. I think it's dreams. I think it's dreams. Yeah, because both Roger and Luffy both had.
Not like a flame, not like a flame, but a dream.
Oh, so I think, all right. I think that that is completely banging, like on point in narratively. I'd say 3D. Like the idea is probably a flame in physical mother flame. What's we've been talking recently about the idea it's an artificial sun, stuff like that. But
I mean, I get that it's the will that makes
physical
Coffee
manifestation.
I was just saying that the hockey, I know it's strong. It can be stronger the stronger your will is, but it seems like the D clan, they're always so strong. But you think it's just will, or is it something tangible
No,
that?
I think the flame is the manifestation of the will in a way.
yeah. I think for me is I think we're all spot on it. It's basically a spectrum. It's like a tree, right? There are different branches. A will is the whole tree, and there are different features. And I think the one that we might right now be focused on, that we should focus on, is dreams. Because if you think about it, Roger did not have Nika's fruit, the sun god Nika fruit, yet him and Luffy had the somewhat same will and same dream. If you look every time in the story when thing changes, the strongest people, when we keep getting the flashback, what do they all have in common? They hold on to a certain dreams. So I'm wondering if dreams is what's the byproduct of all of that, you know what I mean? That keeps it all together. The the glue, you know, that keeps them all together. So the flame, the will's everything. And the dreams might be like the mental manifestation. The will is a spiritual manifestation, and maybe the flame is the physical manifestation. But they're all the same.
Even devil fruits are technically passed on too. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if maybe they were the manifestation of that will too. It could be that.
I think the will, the flame, is the perfect balance between the physical and the spiritual manifestation. That's why I said it's so spicy that you brought up, because just it instantly resonates with me. Like that the flame in One Piece, or the sun, is the symbol of will incarnate. You know, like they earn lifespan quicker, the steam comes off them, shit like that.
And just like York stole just a little tiny piece of that flame and separated it.
Yeah,
It could be that the
and
flame is
Zagrash,
divided.
yeah, this is what I was going to say. Like Zagrash said, not fulfilled dreams, and that kind of ties into what you're saying 3D about like fragmentation. Like when like the original will is probably fragmented, and it takes all the Straw Hats to bring it back together to reignite that will. Like they each carry a small bit of the flame, but it cannot exist
Exactly.
until they all
And
put it together.
that one little piece of the flame was crazy strong too. It destroyed so much.
Exactly. Literally had to have cooling agent.
Yeah, for me is I do go on the flame, but I do think with this arc, especially how Oda like Vegapunk literally like labeled devil fruits being the desire and dreams of people of the past. I do think that the way he's going to describe it is closer to dreams, but I think the deeper we're going to go on it, like I said, it's going to be a spectrum, and the flame is going to become the most important component to this whole thing. Because I'm really wondering if we're
I think
getting actually, what if we're getting actually what the One Piece really is? Because we're talking about fragments, right? Different pieces.
that's what I'm
What
thinking.
happened?
That's what I'm
What
thinking.
happened? Well, yeah, what happens when all those fragments come together? They become one piece.
And dude, this ties perfectly into what you said about fucking excuse my French, about disappointment. That is probably exactly what happened. They probably recreated the sun, right, or the flame of Nika, and they were disappointed with the results. And the reason is because it was synthetic. It wasn't the actual power source, or like the actual the force, you know, that you're referencing then.
What if?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
and
probably that's probably why
yeah,
the Gorosei hate Nika, because like they think, oh fuck, screw this flame dude, but it's because they haven't truly accessed the One Piece yet. Like,
yeah. And I'm really wondering if the dreams plus with devil fruits is like the and what the Zagreus is saying, unfulfilled dreams. What if the last step? Because think about it. When you fail in everything, right? Let's say you're down under. That is when people would do what kids do. They would just have an irrational dream thinking that they would achieve it, you know, delusional. That could be the reason why, like, that's how basically they inherit, like, a lot of people have dreams. Maybe the dreams is like the byproduct of all of it, the last thing that they
Well,
hold on to.
the disappointment part is good because I hope this message will reach those who are swayed by the cause.
Yeah.
They lost something long ago, and that's why they need help.
swayed by the cause, swayed by
And
the
that's what
cause.
makes
Like that
other people.
screams. Right.
Yeah,
And,
that makes
and,
people other people and close to them have a checkered fate too.
yeah.
be
Yeah,
swayed
yeah,
by.
yeah, it could also be with feelings, and yeah, now I'm really thinking. A while back, the other night, we talked with Nico at the beginning of TLA about it. Like, what if dreams is like the last thing they hold on to, everything about themselves. That's why everyone seems to have a specific dreams, but they seem to reconnect with the different people. Zeph and Sanji are different people, but the way they hold on to that dreams. Luffy and Roger are quite similar, but also very different in how they do things. Roger seems to be forceful, while Luffy lets it go with the flow. You know, those are different traits, but yet they still have the same dream. They don't have the same devil fruits. You know,
But
like what if
Roger was
dreams
running
play?
out of time, so
Yeah, he was
that
running out.
makes sense.
Roger was not a crunch because you got to remember he sailed the entire world in the
Yeah,
beginning part of his journey. That took him damn near 30 years, and then
yeah,
sailed again with the intention of finding the end final island and finding all the road poneglyphs. That took him less than 2 years.
yeah,
Hmm. And went back to God Valley because
Yeah, that
the
was in
lunch.
between him doing his
yeah,
second route and his first route.
yeah.
That
It's after
all that
Lodestar.
happened, and the Ed War happened all before Roger made it to Laptic. Like he
Yeah,
hadn't started his second wraparound yet, because remember he picked up Crocus after he had Ode.
yeah.
Mm.
And
Well,
Lodestar
Or
during the
happened just
no,
parse
no,
before
no,
stream
God
after.
last
Valley.
during the parse stream last week, we were talking about how it had maybe like kind of like Nika is Jesus, right? And Bonnie was able to do what Nika did for a few minutes, but this in the Bible it talks about how Peter even walked on water for a couple of minutes until his faith wavered. Did she just get tired, or did her faith waver?
I think her faith could have wavered. She was listening to the
I
people allied with the 20 kingdoms and not her original friend that was risking to do it all for her, like Luffy to Vivi during Alabasta, where it's, yeah, you're the ruler of this country, but you have to accept our help.
if what Kube is saying is correct as well with these people betraying their Dribble and stuff, I think that's real interesting what Dill's saying. Like it's and what 3Day just said. Like it's like these people's faith need to be wavered in order to be able to be manipulated. It's like for like maybe Emu's power to be able to access them, which is kind of cool. Like we saw Cobra, like he was unwavering when he was in the throne room. They shot
Well,
him up
like
with arrows rather than
even
like
before Emu, there had to have been somebody to convince Emu to change sides or to
Mhm.
break apart from the ancient kingdom and ally with the 20 kingdoms. So there had to already have been a betrayer in order to convince Emu to betray him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And with how it went with
Yeah, that's true.
and how it went down with the Flamingo's backstory and Oroshi's backstory, it's the good candidate for those people might be the Gorsei. The way they nailed that Emu, just like the Flamingo, the stuff of Higurashi using the power to of illusion with Mr. Two's fruit, kind of makes you think, yeah, the Gorsei could be a good candidate of people who convinced Emu
And it
at the
looks
start.
like too that
I think
they were trying to convince Bonnie that it was a fake transformation. Why are they so adamant on trying to get her not to believe? That's kind of
these
what
are
I
the
Because
people that
they
advocate
What if
know that
cleansing. Like they
they know
chose
that
to
the
talk about the
power is
cleansing.
in her hands 3Day. They know that if she wants it to, it's real.
also Srida, the best example is what is the biggest the weakness of dreams? It's reality. If you make someone think that this is your reality, your dream is not null and void. It's finished. You can't dream
But people
if
can't
someone
fly
tells
because no
you,
one believes
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Like yeah, like if let's say how Oda says people have stopped believing that they can fly, so that's why people don't fly.
Yeah. What I was thinking, not or I think it was actually whenever this past chapter came out, was what if Bonnie says, "Show me a future where humans could fly," and then she just starts flying. Do people see that and immediately think, "Oh, she's a person. That means I could do what she's doing."
Oh, good point.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Show
it's this
me,
thing that
show me a future in which all humanity is truly free.
Yes, which is why we get like Oda giving us all these alternate futures in the SBSs, right? It's because
Yes.
like Bonnie can offer these people a path and stuff.
Show me a future where justice prevails, but not like it's not meant as the Marines' justice, but true justice, people being held accountable for their actions. That goes back to the world government, to the Gorosei, to the 20 kingdoms, and everything like that.
That could be
Because
what's
they
being
would be
suppressed,
held
right? Like
accountable to the world instead of the world like
exactly.
shutting off all that information being passed out. Now it's all come to light, and people realize who the actual bad guys are.
Also,
Yeah,
think
exactly.
about what Pell said. That rule that he gave about devil fruits, the zoans that can make you fly. We don't know if it's. I think he was referring to types, but even we're realizing even with types, there are more than 5 types. But that could have been what in this world they made people believe long time ago. Well, flying's
In
impossible. Only 5 types.
Alabasta.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my god.
remember he
Because like,
literally
dude, when
referred.
you
There are 5 types of fruits that enables you to fly in this world. That's what he said.
yeah, and dude, like
There are
these
more.
could be gods, right? That could be the idea of gods because like we see the 4 in Skypiea and then we have the Yami as well, right? Which makes 5 as well. So this idea or theme of there being 5 gods back in the day, like Nika's time, Nika being one of them, like, you know, I completely see what you mean. Like, it could be like that is what the culture believe.
Yeah, it's something that
And so
Vex's
they're
been saying it
restricted
many
to.
times on stream, that he's a big believer of. They use the power of not of making people lose belief on some stuff. If you keep telling someone for 1,000 years a certain
Out.
thing, they will believe that,
Mhm.
It's
You
the
guys
status
are the
quo.
true gods of this world. You guys are the real rulers of this world. Think what the celestial dragons think now. They
Yeah,
think
look
that
at it.
everything is theirs just because they want it.
Think of Akainu. It's very weird, but Akainu, he's not someone who's weak-willed. But yet, when it comes to Celestial Dragon, more than once, and even one of them disrespected him, and he took it. When the whole thing happened in Mjosgard and they went to intervene, he was the calm one in the room saying, "We can't. It's among Celestial Dragon." The power of believing that. That is how the rules are. In this rule, there are only 5 types of devil fruits that can make you fly. So all of them are not actual devil fruits. It's an illusion, and you can't question the Gorosei. Think about it. We're in a world where the power system is hockey. If you believe something is that way, your will not change. You know what I mean? Unless you know what I mean. Unless you're that guy who's seeing through the reality of things. You visited the world, so your will knows that you can go forward. But if you don't believe at it yourself, if you can't believe, your hockey won't be that good. You see what I mean? When it comes to that.
Yeah, we've got a video that's finished editing on Friday thanks to Coffee. And that is all about this idea that, it's this dream of sheep motif I've been talking about for a while, that like orphans play a huge part in One Piece. One of the most underrated themes probably talked about in the community, and all of these kids, that all it takes is a bit of imagination and them to see something like Vegapunk's message to not become a Kainu and to go against a Kainu and to rise up and to unite against the like illusion that is the world government or global power,
Yeah.
which is very
Yeah.
obviously I don't want to get banned off YouTube, but very reminiscent
Uh,
of modern society at the moment.
yeah. It's also made me think. Since I was talking a few weeks in VC, you were there, Dead End, so I'll share it. And I think this could fall in the same realm. I was wondering if the reason why Luffy never actually succumbed to the poisoning he gets, and it's very crazy. It's might be the same logic of how some people just don't want to die. They refuse. They're that stubborn. What if Luffy actually is because of his lack of understanding of what a poison does to your body? You know what I mean? Like if
Mhm.
if this world, if you believe a certain way, right? What if Luffy doesn't realize the danger of a poison? He doesn't realize how his body will shut down. What happens? When they're helping him, even Ivankov says, "Okay, Zoan or not." Even Ivankov, it could have been his own stuff, but even Ivankov was shocked on how much he was able to survive from it and how fast he got back up. Zoan can explain it, but you also had that as well. You have that also with Mr. Five's fruit. The way he dealt with Caesar Clown. You know, those are very like, and if he doesn't understand the science behind it, what if that's a thing, you know? Oh, it's okay, I'll get back up. Just give me 10 more minutes. Then suddenly 10 more minutes, he's getting more energy. Still weak, you know, because the poison's hitting him, but he's actually fighting it, not realizing it. Like that could be actually be a thing in this world, in the world of One Piece. Whitebeard losing half his brain, but still he could function. While Vegapunk says a brain is very sensitive. What is the difference between both? One knows everything about brains. We can assume that Whitebeard doesn't know as much as Vegapunk when it comes to brains.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
For sure.
very spicy.
I think like that could be yeah, like that aspect in different parts, like we mentioned with the paw fruit being the hands of liberation and Opie being the heart. They could all be like indicative of each, you know, like each like not body part, but like the part that makes up the person.
There's also something interesting with MF, which is in that I found, and this is in I think this is more Christianity, is that MF understood the implicit endorsement of the doctrinal idea of inclusiveness, which is interesting because, you know,
Inclusion.
and inclusiveness is talking about inclusiveness in Christianity, inclusive theology, you know, and you were talking about Jesus and Nika before, so.
We're all expecting that from Joy Boy. Luffy is the most inclusive character on the planet, you know. It's just like that's kind of what, like, he brings people together. He's the sun, right? People realign around him. Whereas before they were forced into a false alignment around the earth, which I believe to be Emu.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm gonna have to jump out just because I've got a couple bits I've got to sort out. It's getting late, and I know Kube is late for you, but I'll let you close up. Thank you everybody for tuning in and stuff, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'll leave you with these people, and that you never know, there might be more people jumping in. Straw Hat Lucas, any guests, stuff like that. So yeah, you guys have a good evening, and thank you.
Yeah, see you, man. Yeah, so that was just some interesting thought with the whole MF thing. I really thought that he might have a name that was from the movie The Iron Giant, because I was wondering if Oda's gonna dwell on it, because it's true that the Iron Giant and but obviously no.
Also, Atlas tells Sanji and the others that they need to go and do something first. Then she tells Lilith in her head that York is able to track their movements now. Atlas is about to say what they must do, but the scene changes.
Yeah.
So, do we think it's Atlas telling Lilith that they have to disconnect from Punk Records?
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder how they do that though.
Well, so that's what we have gotten bits and pieces of, is that we know that York did it for about a month leading up to the events of Egghead, just from her putting all of her data in about the talking with the Seraphims and the backdoor dealings with the world government, all of that type of stuff. It's safe to assume, for me at least, that it's just as simple as like unplugging yourself from an interface. Like you go in and you hit disconnect and then you're out, essentially.
Yeah. I'm starting to believe more and more that Punk Records, if it's not the original Vegapunk, it's making his own decision. Because the fact that they knew about it, and stuff like that, it kind of makes you think that the initial idea that Josh brought up 2 months ago, what if this has been prepared already by Vegapunk, even before he created satellite? Because it's interesting, they were able to keep tabs on York,
I hope his mind goes into the robot dog. I forget what it's called though.
The Vega.
Oh, the robot dog.
I call it
the
Vega
little thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a trash collector. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but
or that might have just been Rick and Morty.
Yeah, the only way that they would know about York in Punk Records is if Vegapunk, his actual mind, is in Punk Records, and actually, it's not just it's dormant there, just waiting for them to share information. I think he can actually access them without even knowing it, like guide them in a way,
I mean,
give them
yeah,
advice.
we see that with York being able to access the interface of Punk Records to see that Lilith and Atlas are still connected to it, and
Yeah,
that none of the other Vegapunk's satellites were connected to it at that time.
yeah.
Is it Edison that's unconscious and they don't know that they're still alive, or
No,
what?
no,
I
So
he's conscious, but he seems to be disconnected. They didn't catch him
Yeah.
last chapter.
well, we don't know if he is still actively conscious. The last we had from
Oh yeah,
him, he was taken significant damage from the barrier. He said he wouldn't die from it. He was able to hit the ground, get the clouds to extend for the Straw Hats. He had a short conversation with Stussy, and then that's the last we saw of him. The next we heard was Lilith saying that the only two attached were Atlas and Lilith, which could be him disconnecting himself from Punk Records interface, or it could be him actually meeting his demise.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe him being unconscious is why they don't know he's alive. And then in my head, I went straight to Atlas is gonna say, "Knock us out first." I don't
I mean,
know.
yeah, I could see that if it's like a just like a vitals connection, and as soon as there's no more brain activity going directly to Funk Records, it would just be like a no signal, no input source, that kind of thing. I can see it.
Yeah.
Uh, have you guys ever seen Westworld, specifically just the first season?
No.
Okay, for anyone who is planning to see Westworld, you've got 5 seconds to leave because I'm about to give a plot point that's interesting and it connects because it's all with mech with cyborgs over in that. Okay, so I give you enough time. So basically, there's a twist where basically all of them, there's those mechas, those cyborgs that people can use an amusement park, and basically since they're cyborgs, they could commit any type of crime or whatever because they're not humans. And the guy that handles all of it never realized, but you get a twist that he's actually a cyborg. And when you get that reveal, you're realizing that there's some places in the park where the cyborg, because of the system, they can't see certain doors. And there were certain places, but you never caught on that he never saw them. But it was done brief, interesting enough. And I'm wondering if when Shaka and Pythagoras, the reason why they keep saying they were saying I can't see anything, but they still Pythagoras still immediately went to that place, and they got hit by someone. So was it the camera who can see it, or was it the same way as why Lilith seems to be looking through Frankie at the beginning, barely answering to him, like not even acknowledging his presence? Like, what if I'm wondering if Punk Records can affect how the satellites view things?
Hmm.
You know, because we're all wondering why they don't seem to take an interest in Frankie, with his connection to Vegapunk's lab and everything, and even the fact that he's a cyborg. And they got interested in a lot of the stuff the Straw Hats had, but they're not interested by the cyborg.
I didn't
Not
even
questioning why he.
realize they did that to Frankie.
Yeah, there's a one point that Shaka answers to him, but if you look back in the chapter, both Usopp and Frankie ask the same question. You know, so I am wondering if Punk Records is actually, is still is somewhat more in control than we think it is.
The
You
word
know,
emeth is Hebrew for truth.
yeah, and it's actually and in the I think in some mythology, with I think the Bible, it can be translated as a faithful God as well, truth and a faithful God. And that's why in the whole thing with the golem, the way they explain it is that's why they changed his name to truth from truth to death, mf to meth, which could also refer to death, which could basically make the golem collapse. That's why I'm wondering, what if evil has the power to literally change the name of someone and you become something else? Basically, sugar does the opposite. Sugar grabs someone, and that person's name is forgotten. What if it's the opposite of evil? or somebody in the government, like among the Gorsei, or it's something that they control. You know, that has
Instead
the
of
power to.
forgetting them, they change their name and
Yeah,
what it means, what they who
yeah,
they really
yeah,
are.
yeah. Like maybe that's what happened to Lily. If you think about it, what if they changed Lily's name? Something happened. They changed Lily's name. It affected how Lily became, and the byproduct of that thing, because everything, like when Sugar does his ability, the byproduct is the toys being created. The painting of Lily was then manifested. You know, I still believe it's not Emu did not commission that painting to be there. I think something that is spiritual, that is supernatural about that painting. You know, feels
It
like it's
does
a
look. It looks really old, but then again, if it's been hanging there for 800 years, then I don't know.
yeah, like yeah, it's
So you think
it,
Emu immortalized Lily's will in the painting?
like what if the painting? That's what I was saying a while back. But what if the painting? At first, I thought, what if Lily is in the painting? But what if the identity, then everything that connects back to Lily became that painting? Everything erased. Like it's a definition,
Well,
you know,
so
we've heard of. No energy can be destroyed. All energy can be created, cannot be destroyed. It's just transformed. I think
yeah,
that's the.
that's what I was gonna get into. Is like whenever not the immortality surgery, but the soul switching, the personality switching. So in order to put Emu's will inside of Lily's body, they had to put Lily's will inside of something, but Emu didn't have a body before that. So they just put her will inside the painting to
Yeah,
keep
or
keep that body alive, so to speak.
or they try to, or they could be not just they put the emo inside the paint. It could be that, or it could be as simple as they erased. That's my thing of my initial theories on the first poneglyph. Why would the first poneglyph just appeared on a wall? You know, like you cannot really erase history. You cannot erase a nation. You cannot erase people. There's always going to be. Kyros disappears, become a toy soldier, but the statue still stands. There's always going to be a trace of someone in this world
Yeah,
somehow.
that's what I'm saying. Like Lily didn't get touched by the user of Sugar's root. She just got soul swapped, and then that
Yeah,
will was locked
yeah,
away to be remembered by Emu, but to
yeah,
not be remembered by anybody else. So that
exactly.
way
Yeah.
the body still stays alive. The body that Emu is in has its own will. It has Emu's will. It's Lily's body. It has the immortality surgery performed on it to where it lasts this long and they won't have to go through a process of finding another body.
Hmm.
They only
Exactly.
wanted
Yeah.
They only wanted uh, Bonnie to actually be able to work for the world government to revert the Gorusei, not Emu themselves.
Hmm. Yeah. I could see something like that actually. I could really see something that this is this is I think why Kaido and Big Mom for 25 years they've been holding to a road poneglyph and been waiting only when certain things come together to make their move. They had to witness something like that. Maybe that's what happened to Quebec. You know, they literally saw him get wiped out in that way.
They saw him get wiped out, but they all still remember him.
Yeah.
So he wasn't really wiped out or eliminated at God Valley because his will still lives on in them.
Yeah. But it has to be. I think it has to be in that nature because I think that's the one thing that would scare the people like the Rocks, Whitebeard, Shiki, Big Mom, Kaido. Not that they're too weak or they will just be unalived. It's literally the ability of a god to do what they want with your will. You know what I mean? Like eternal damnation in their eyes. Just by that, I understand why Kaido drinks. Just by thinking about it, makes me want to drink, and I don't drink. But it's quite interesting the way you said it as well, Will. You know, with the swapping, it could not just be as simple as sometimes it could be changing the name, but it could be literally when you basically force yourself a spirit into someone, you know, to subdue them. This could explain why Koala was void of all emotions when we saw her, when she was saved by, from the celestial dragons. What if that's what they need to do? Like, there's this thing of you need to destroy whatever makes a person from the inside, their will, their personality, everything. Let me check the chat before.
No, they're
By
just
the way,
cooking in response.
yeah. By the way, Sride, to answer to your question, I have a big. I do believe that because before while we were talking, Sride wrote in the chat she's wondering if Chopper has ever said if Chopper met Blackbeard because Blackbeard came to Drum Island when Chopper before Luffy came, so Chopper was there. The way Chopper, the moment he heard in Fishman Island, or I think Punk Hazard, about what Blackbeard is doing, he instantly thought that Blackbeard would come for him, fruit, and then Usopp, shut it down. But I'm wondering
Yeah.
if, yeah, and he kicked Wapple when Blackbeard came. They said that whatever happened, it got Wapple to leave the island, and Kurea said, "I moved in on the castle as the king was fleeing." So I'm wondering if Kurea and Chopper interacted with Blackbeard, just crossed path with him or saw him. Obviously they don't care. They don't get involved. And then they just move in the castle. Oh, the castle is vacant. I'm wondering if Chopper at least witnessed Blackbeard, and he never told anyone. He doesn't need to talk to him, but he actually saw him on the island.
So was the one who told. He didn't tell us that Ace was on the island, but he told us that the island experienced no snow. So the rest of the island also knew about Ace and Blackbeard being there.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
shortly after Ace showed up, Blackbeard left, and they said Drum Island was without snow for a week, I think.
Yeah, no, the village. There was one village in Dom Island where the snow did not fall at all. And I think it was because someone who had just come also in 2000. Well, that's weird. Why is this village not snowing? In
I
April.
didn't know they had distinguished it as one village, though. Huh.
Yeah, I thought it was Drum Kingdom in total had experienced no snow.
Oh, really? Oh, I might have forgotten that point. Then thank you for clearing that out.
It's been too long, so I don't really remember either. I just
Yeah.
thought it didn't say
Yeah.
that.
But
Plus
you
all
see
the
what I
different
mean?
fan translations and stuff. Hold
Yeah.
on.
And you see what I mean with the whole Chopper and Blackbeard? This made sense that Chopper might have definitely seen Blackbeard in Drum Island. Why jump to yourself the moment you hear about Blackbeard chasing about the fruits,
Mm-hmm.
especially his fruit? Unless he heard something, I wouldn't be shocked that what if I've said well back to that as a joke when we were talking about it. What if that Kurea is the reason why Blackbeard kicked out why Wapple ran away? He asked for an information because Blackbeard, though it's weird. Dalton said that Blackbeard seemed to have didn't find what he needed because he left with nothing, right? Why was not
Right.
nothing? It was information. Who is the one person who is old enough to have information that Blackbeard would need? The oldest human we know of, Korea. And
Yeah.
Korea said that she moved in as the. And remember when Luffy wanted Korea to save Nami? What did Korea say? She wanted him to do a favor first.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true.
So that's why I find it weird that Chopper jumps to that conclusion, unless he's heard something. He heard something. Blackbeard said something in Drum Island. Maybe about his fruit, or a certain devil fruit. And that's when he realized he came to my island. He didn't find the fruit he was looking for. He asked Korea. Korea told him that he doesn't know that thing, but I can help you some stuff if you do something for me. But then he comes to that conclusion. Oh my God, he was there for me.
Yeah, maybe at the time he didn't know how devil fruits work, like that
Yeah.
Blackbeard could take them or whatever too, or didn't suspect it till he heard the story in Fishman Island. Then he got scared, even more scared,
Yeah.
because he wouldn't have walked up to him. He was always hiding back then.
Mm-hmm. It's just and interesting enough, I think Chopper, he's from with Usopp. But Usopp is different because Usopp is part of the initial 5. But I think Usopp and Chopper are like I think the 2 members who might have never seen Teach at all on panel. The other Straw Hats, or Luffy, all of them were throughout town. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami definitely saw him. Obviously, we remember that. But Usopp wasn't in town. He was with Cricket, and I think Chopper might have only seen Doc Q, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat tell me who Chopper seen, but and I think he wasn't at the same place as Luffy and all of them when they interacted with Teach.
Yeah, so
You
they've
know what I
been
mean? Like,
on.
yeah, it's devil's in the detail with Oda. Like, he doesn't miss when it comes to that. Like, when you look back, oh, that's interesting. From the initial, like, it's until Robin, right? And Jaya. Robin met, saw a few of them.
Yeah, because she went around asking questions and got her own answers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And both Chopper and Usopp are the only ones who might have seen Chopper the least about, and Usopp saw none of them. And who were the two people talking about Blackbeard and the Devil Fruit? Usopp and Chopper. That's why I feel like there's gonna be a twist with those two guys with the Blackbeard pirates. They're gonna be somewhat connected to them. But it's but yeah. So listen, I think I'm gonna give for final thoughts. Look at the chat if there are some spices being dropped. Ooh, Will said something very interesting. Well, I was talking about Koala's emotions being destroyed, right? He says Koala had her emotions destroyed and forced to smile, like the smile that offers destroy one's emotion and will.
Perfect timing.
Exactly.
To say goodbye.
No, don't worry. We could do final thoughts and talk a bit more if you want.
I
Just, you know.
read the chapter, so I'm not completely behind. But yeah, sure. First thoughts, final thoughts, whatever you want to do.
Well, what are your first thoughts? And we'll go from there.
Oh, okay. Okay, give me a second. The balloon attack is going to be something special. The multiple attacks.
Yeah.
I think that just
Yeah.
confirmed that people are using hockey without us seeing their hands coded.
Oh yeah. And I think it's a proof that hockey is not this thing of activating and desactivating.
Right.
Yeah. Not activating, desactivating. I think some people don't realize it. They're using a base level of hockey. They don't even realize it. Even like father Marines.
It was a lot to take in. Like I just read it and I'm still like thinking about it myself. But the robot coming out of the water is going to be like one of those moments.
Yeah.
And the Emeth being his name, I think that's basically confirmed now because I know yesterday people were confused if it was like the title of the robot or if it was a name of an individual or whatever. I think that the robot's individual name is Emeth.
Yeah. What I'm very curious, and that's why I can't wait for the chapter to come out. I want to see that punch that the Iron Giant did.
Yeah.
Because what bothers me isn't that Luffy finds it impressive, is Dorian Broggy, when you remember in pre-time skip, how Dorian Broggy talked about themselves, how the Berkworks recognized them as being powerful, and then in Enies Lobby, how we got that lore of them in the past. Those legendary giant warrior captains had, like, they're literally the Mihawk and Shanks of their faction, right?
Right.
And for some reason, something that Iron Giant did in his attack that blew their mind. So I'm wondering if it's one, just a crazy level of abilities, and it's like on par with what we've seen Kaido do sometimes, or two, it's something they've heard in legend and never believed in.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, go ahead.
No, go on. I was gonna just
No.
something else.
And what do you think that Joyba was saying to Emeth when the time comes?
You gotta fight.
Because once he thought of it, he popped right up, right?
Oh yeah.
All I'm gonna say this is I've always said that because of the double spread, I think one parallel moment of them reaching to Laugh Tale is Luffy and his crew arriving in the little garden. Because that double panel and that quote that they said, how can a place like this have survived all those for after all this time? And then it says it's like it's in a dream, and it kind of makes you think of that's what you would say when you reach a Alaftel. They really find the last island. How did it? And they say how beautiful it is. The same things. And there were giants. So I've always wondered if at one point the Iron Giant is supposed to come to Laftel when the time comes.
And maybe he
Come
was
back.
told to protect the Straw Hat,
Yeah.
or the reincarnation of Joy Boy in a sense. I'm not sure exactly how he would be told to protect Luffy and his crew, but perhaps he was told to protect the person who wakens you up.
Ooh, Elson Jackington said, reminds me of Pedro's interaction with Roger. When the time everybody has their own turn, their own time.
That is a nice callback.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, look, the two small tidbits we got of Atlas. Atlas talking about how York seems to be tracking them now, and also with the Kaku Stussy Lucci dynamic that's going to happen next chapter. There's a few directions we can see this going.
Yeah, you weren't here, but I literally said this could literally proves that if it's not Vegapunk, the original will of Vegapunk, his mind, the punk hazard is being in control of certain stuff.
I
I
agree.
think
Yeah, I've
it's
had the
sentient.
same sort of
It's
idea for a little while. Yeah.
only something that's sentient would know what is channeling itself.
Yeah, and like when the satellites didn't start shutting down, that's when I knew Punk Records was like the source of power, but also the source of like control of this island. Stella wasn't the one pulling the strings.
Yeah. Also, I think this chapter, the spoiler I said was we talked about the other day about what if if the cipher pull goes through some sort of like not brainwashing, but something close to that when they're
Right.
younger. So they have to follow certain rules, and because when Stussy the vampire trope with her them biting them, put that side of them dormant, that side that has to agree to everything, that side that has to subdue their other emotions. The fact that Kaku now is crying kind of makes me think it's like Rob Lucci, a
Seeing
part of
Kaku
themselves.
cry is something
Yeah.
like we haven't seen a cipher pull agent show any kind of emotion other than frustration.
I mean, do you remember the rules in Naruto of Sakura that says during the Zabuza fight about the different commandments of a shinobi? It's very dark. And one of them was, and it's something that even in military, I think they have the same thing. Do not show emotions. Do not cry when I fall, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes me think that, yeah,
Like he just broke with this interaction
yeah,
between Edison and Stussy. The betrayal and Stussy calling him a friend and being conflicted. Yeah.
yeah. It kind of makes you
Kaku
think,
is
yeah, like a part of themselves, the part that fell asleep is still asleep. That makes them compliant. That's the word I was using for. Now parts themselves are allowed to live. They don't realize it. It's the fine, it's a fine line of being unaware.
right.
If you're unaware that you don't do that, if you it's like the whole thing of Luffy. Think of compared to who Vivi and Luffy, right? Two different childhoods, right? But you could say that Luffy somewhat had the much more because he was so happy. He had at least the same level of happiness or even more than Vivi during her childhood. Yet, if you look at his childhood, I'm sorry for all those. I love Garp, but we have to say what it is. It's child abuse. Like the way he lived was way too rough. But Luffy never was aware because all the other kids, Sabo and Ace, lived just like him. It was normal, and he was the happiest guy when he left his island. So it could be that as well. If you're unaware of those stuff with Sussy, right? Those part of yourself that you're now feeling, you don't realize you're being more emotional. You're being more
Ignorance is
curious.
bliss.
Exactly. Ignorance is bliss, and 3 day blesses. That's what we say in TLA.
Well,
Hey,
thanks for keeping me updated on the stream because I didn't want that loop to keep going. I walked away for literally a second and I got like three messages. It was like loop. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, we are just trying to figure out what it was, and then I was like, wait a minute, this sounds like his speakers are playing
That's
back.
exactly what it was. I left my headset on my stand, and my stand is like an inch away from my monitors.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it was good. No, nothing to it. So I gotta
Hey,
say, can't wait to see the panels of the chapter. I'll just say it. Can't
Yeah,
wait.
dude.
Yeah,
Every week I'm
we
so
should have
hyped.
the raws. The raws should be out within the next hour or two, and
Oh yeah, no.
join
I'm
the
gonna.
join the Discord if you want to see them whenever they come out, because we'll have them in the spoiler section. Make sure you grab the spoiler roll, and you come in, pop
Yeah,
in, talk with us about it.
We'll probably all be there
yeah,
chatting.
yeah. No, I can't wait. I'll be honest with you guys. We haven't got the chapter yet. Like I said last week, I think last week was a great chapter. They were still missing some stuff, but this for me is uh, the better chapter.
We might just be Oda
Just
Simps, like Zag says. We all just might be Oda Simps. Whatever he gives us, we'll take right now. Come on.
I mean, it's also no. I'll say this. This is my defense. Is it because I may be biased with it? But I'll say this: is that the fact that every week, it's like we've always had it for different arcs, but every week we're more interested, you know, and we're always shocked by the revelation. Is
25
a
years into the
sentiment that
story.
the qual yeah, the 20 plus years in the story, and I'm still wondering how Oda does it.
Yeah, it's really something, isn't it?
Yeah. So listen, final thoughts, guys, and then I'll end the stream like this.
Final thoughts. Bonnie is replicating what Kaido mentioned about Luffy in Gear 5th form, is that the hockey is just emanating off of him.
Ooh, that's
so
nice.
you think she ran out of hockey?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
that combined with like Luffy, he went into an exhausted state where it he was able to force his heartbeat to go back into the Nika Gear 5th form, but we watched it drain from him in the beginning where it literally just he was in that form, 2 seconds later he's out of that form. And I think we might see something similar with Bonnie where we pick back up next chapter and Luffy's like, come on, just make your heart hit that same beat. And she forces herself back into it just like he did.
Hmm.
Could be an incredible cost to that too that we don't understand yet in terms of life
Yeah.
energy.
Well, I mean, even with Gears second, we got a kind of denotation of it's taking years off of Luffy's life
Mm-hmm.
because he's expanding his blood vessels to let blood flow more and more freely. That's in an essence what Gear 5th is doing with his heart. It's just rubberizing itself so that way it can keep on contracting and what's the opening?
Expanding and contracting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
expanding and contracting almost like it's rubber. It's like you're taking a stress ball and you're just squeezing it, but with each squeeze, you're sending blood throughout the entire body just because it's rubberizing it. Like it's
Yeah.
just sending it like a straight adrenaline shot almost.
Yeah. That's why it's really starting to make me think that there's also this idea of outside energy that fuels people. Because this thing is like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering if there's more to having more than one person being just like Luffy, looking like Nika and Bello Betty's fruit. Think about it. A commander of the Revs, the one of the East Blue, the blue that Luffy is from, the organization of his father. That person, his power, the power of that person is just to have people fight, get their inner potential to come out. And Luffy is doing that with Bonnie right now.
Mm-hmm. He
So
just
I'm
has
really
to pull the
wondering if
trigger.
there's a it's an idea. The best analogy I can have is Spirit Bomb in Dragon Ball.
Been getting those
People
bombs a lot. Yeah.
yeah, people can share their energy with them.
My final thoughts will be simply the editor's message at the bottom of this page.
Oh,
romance
yeah.
move once more.
Yep. Because think about what Frankie said to Shaka when he heard about the tale of O'Hara, heard about the tale of Saul still being alive, and got his final comeuppance against the world government. And Frankie started crying and said, "Yo, this is a true romance."
Mm-hmm.
That's because it doesn't fit in the classic modernification type of a romance where it's this person has love interest for that person or all that. It's purely about the enthrallment with adventure and all of that. And this might
I mean,
be where we see the ancient robot is likening it to. Is like, hey, I remember you told me to look for a time like this, and now is the time of our great grand adventure.
Dill, I don't want to be that guy, but you said that, it's not the traditional romance, the falling in love. Don't know if you ever seen Luffy and
Well,
Lucky
yeah,
with a
I
piece of meat. That's a romance by itself. That's a
I
romance by itself.
I get that, but I'm talking like in the traditional like our modern
Yeah,
era's
yeah, of
version
course.
of romance. It's more
Yeah,
so
He
relationships.
was messing with
Well,
you.
yeah,
Romeo and
I know
Juliet.
he's messing with me. I might as well just clarify for the people in the chat because there's different levels to this.
It's like the
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
Luffy has a romance with adventure. He also has a romance with all of his crew members. It's just not on a like actual
Romeo and
loving
Juliet.
relationship
Romeo
level.
Romeo
Yeah,
and
it's
Juliet
not like,
level of love. Yeah, yeah.
well, I mean,
I
for
would.
Luffy, it's more so just like I would die for my crewmates because I know that they would do the same for me, and it's not like a Blackbeard situation where he's gonna make his crewmates die for him just so that he stays alive. It's gonna be Luffy, as we've seen throughout the entire story, him going out of his way to risk his life to make sure that his crew stays happy and gets what they want and is able to fulfill their own dream, even at the cost of Luffy's own life.
Hmm. I can see.
beautiful.
Oh man, it's it's going to be very interesting because I'm wondering how Oda is going to end this arc because I'm keep saying it even though they are supposed to be the one at advantage. I feel like ever since the Gorsei have arrived on Egghead, they've never had the advantage once. Doesn't feel like it.
We get like these small swing moments where we think we're about to get like come ahead, and in the next chapter it reminds us that like no, the deck is still stacked against you here. Like you have Sanji kick nose Joro, and then it's like woohoo, and you realize there's four other Gorosei and like 15 battleships and all these Marines around.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous, especially now the Gorsei they haven't realized they have to face their biggest challenge in their tenure of 800 years, and that's God Usopp, and to deal with his bullshit. Because everything we've been talking about, the one person who might become very OP pretty soon is Usopp and his lies. If people start believing in him. But yeah, but listen, everyone. I think we had a great stream. Great spoilers. Luckily, what's it called? We had the full spoilers like last time, so that's great.
Great timing.
So yeah, I'll let Dill, 3-Day, and Knack tell the people where they can find you. You know, just in the jazz.
I'm everywhere. Just find me anywhere. On Discord, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube.
How about you, Dill?
Uh, Catch me on Dire Regulus' channel on Saturday with Group 3 returning to action. We had session 50 last week where we did some fun crew games, had an SBS section. We learned more about the crew, got to talk with our DM as DM to player instead of DM to character. Check me out on vexyz Lurking Legends channel on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST. Group 2 solos. We're going to be there. Introducing a brand new character to the world that our players know all too well, but our characters don't really know all that well. In fact, we only met her last session. New arc, who dis? Julian Casa Casa? Who dis? Also check TLA Gaming out. They're going to be returning to action next week. I believe Monday. I'm not 100% sure, but that date will be posted. The stream will be set up and everything, so that way, whenever they're ready, they can just hit go live. They're on game 2 of the Trails in the Sky series. I think that's all for me. I think we're on break next week, so I don't think we'll have a spoiler stream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add on what you just said. Also, check out Straw Hat Lucas's latest Ramblin' Addiction episode, Doctor Who
Oh,
edition.
yeah. Also, another thing, go show some love on his Doctor Who Rambling Addiction, the one that just came out, and like and share the stream for the Group 14 Session 4 going live tomorrow, I believe at 4 p.m. EST. I am confirming right now. Just give me a second.
And before he gets that out, I'll just say you guys can find me on X at NACD and over in TLA Discord. I like to hang out in the VC.
It is at 3 p.m. EST, but that just means that gives you less time to make sure you're liking it. Make sure you got notifications turned on for those channels. That way you can know when he's dropping a Rambling Addiction, when he's dropping a live stream for Group 14, aka Mikey's Men, aka the Men of Mikey, aka the GOAT DM and the GOAT players.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's
with
all.
that, guys, most likely we will most likely do a chapter stream this Saturday, and we'll keep you posted if since we don't have a spoiler stream next week, if we're planning to stream or not. We might have a special stream in store. Keep you guys posted. Okay, see ya.
Bye bye. We're out. Yeah, we're out.